I'm going to ask all of you to do something very simple. Just close your eyes and think about everything that you did today. From the moment that you woke up until the time that you came here, what did you do? It might have been just waking up and saying good morning to your parents, or discussing something with a friend or colleague. But all of these activities have something in common, and it's the magical word, association. Association essentially defines who we are, and this can be seen through the fundamental yet eye-opening quote by Jim Rohn that says, "You are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with." What does this mean? Does this mean that you're the average of the personalities and the character traits of your 5 closest companions? Well, not exactly, but it does mean that the people you spend the most time with have a much greater impact on your life than you think. There's truly no bigger life hack in the history of this world to get to where you want to be from where you are than placing the right people around you. If you hang around those who fail to take responsibility for their lives and constantly blame other people for the situation that they're in, then your average will go down, and with that, your opportunity to succeed. But if you hang around those who take responsibility for their lives and are constantly trying to improve their personal and professional skills, then your average will go up, and with that, your likeliness to succeed. So take a look around you and see if you need to make any changes. Association is truly a powerful thing. I have experienced how powerful it is. In fact, we all have. Whenever we start to spend time with a new friend, we subconsciously acquire some of their qualities. It may be the way they speak. Maybe you start to say some of the words that they say. Or maybe you were so inspired by how humble they are that you subconsciously acquire this quality of humility. Like the saying goes, if you hang around 5 intelligent people, you will be the 6th. If you hang around 5 confident people, you will be the 6th. But if you hang around 5 idiots, you will also be the 6th. Association quite literally has the ability to make or break your life. I'm sure you all know who Al Capone is. Well, many years ago, Al Capone virtually owned Chicago. He wasn't famous for anything heroic. He was notorious for saturating the Windy City with everything from bootleg liquor to prostitution to even murder. And Al Capone had a lawyer nicknamed Easy Eddie. Easy Eddie was Capone's lawyer for a reason. He was very good. In fact, he was so good that he kept Capone out of jail for so many years despite all the atrocious activities that Capone committed. To show his appreciation, Capone paid Eddie very well. Not only was the money big, but Eddie also received other special dividends. For instance, Eddie and his family occupied a huge mansion with live-in help and all the conveniences of the day. His estate occupied an entire Chicago city block. Eddie continued to live the high life of Chicago and paid very little regard to all the atrocities being committed around him. Eddie, however, did have one soft spot. He had a son who he loved dearly. He tried to give his son the best of everything that he had, the best clothes, the best cars, and even the best education. Price was no object. Nothing was withheld. And even though Eddie was involved in organized crime, he also tried to teach his son right from wrong. He wanted his son to be a better man than he was. However, he was unable to give his son 2 things, a good name and a good example. So one day, Eddie reached a very difficult decision. He decided he would go to the authorities and tell them the truth about Al Capone, clean up his tarnished name, and offer a semblance of integrity to his son. But to do this, he would have to testify against a mob, which he knew came at a very big price. Regardless, he testified, and within the next year, Eddie's life ended in a blaze of gunfire on a lonely Chicago street. But in Eddie's eyes, he had given his son the best gift he could possibly offer at the greatest price he would ever pay. So keep this story in mind, and now I'm going to tell you another story. World War II produced many heroes. One of these was Lieutenant Commander Butch O'Hare. He was an American fighter pilot stationed in the Pacific. One day, his entire squadron was sent on a mission. However, after he was airborne, he realized he was low on fuel, so his flight leader told him to go back to the fleet. Reluctantly, he dropped out of formation and started to head back to the fleet. But on his way back, he saw something that turned his blood cold. A squadron of Japanese aircraft were speeding their way towards the American fleet. The American fighters were gone on a sortie, and the base was defenseless. Eddie couldn't reach Butch couldn't reach his squadron in time and bring them back, nor could he warn the fleet about the approaching danger. There's only one thing he could do. Laying aside all concerns for personal safety, Butch dove into the formation of Japanese planes. He charged in, attacking one surprised Japanese plane, and then another, until all his ammunition was spent. Undaunted, he continued the assault. He tried to chip off a wing or a tail of an enemy plane in hopes of damaging as many as possible. Exasperated, the Japanese aircraft finally retreated, and Butch and his tattered fighter limped back to the fleet. This event occurred on February 20th, 1942, and for this action, Butch became the Navy's first ace of World War II, and the first naval aviator to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor. Today, the O'Hare Airport in Chicago is named in tribute to this great man. So, what do these two stories have to do with each other? Well, Butch O'Hare was Easy Eddie's son. The sacrifice that Easy Eddie made truly had a big impact on Butch and eventually even made him a hero. You might be wondering what this has to do with association. Well, this has everything to do with association. Although Butch had all the best facilities in life, the fact that his father, and as a result him, associated with Al Capone, tarnished his entire life. However, after his father helped him get rid of this bad association, his entire life transformed. The integrity that Easy Eddie exemplified by telling the authorities the truth about Al Capone really had a big impact on Butch. Butch dedicated his entire life to live up to his father's example. This one action had such a gigantic impact on Butch. This shows us that we also associate with every action that we partake in. For example, the music we listen to, the movies and shows that we watch, and the sports that we play all have a very profound effect on us through association. According to the Pew Research Center, 90% of all young adults use social media on a regular basis. I'm sure we can all attest to this fact. Many times, when I am trying to focus on a certain activity, I check Instagram for just 30 seconds. However, this activity, which I intended to take 30 seconds, ends up clouding my thoughts for the next 15 to 30 minutes. People today are so concerned about weapons of mass destruction. However, we should also be concerned about all of these, which are in fact weapons of mass distraction. So how do we know who and what to associate with? Well, it's pretty simple. Association can be good, or it can be bad. We should always strive to be in situations in which we are interacting with good association. To do this, we must be able to recognize what good association is. Good association is not the same for everyone. It can be simply defined as any association that takes you towards your goal or purpose. No matter what your goal or purpose is, if someone or something takes you towards that goal, then they are likely to be good association. Making sure that you have the right goal is another story, but making sure that your association takes you towards that goal is very important. Did you know that people who are neglected and abused as children are 9 times more likely to get involved in criminal activity and abuse their children themselves? This phenomenon is commonly cited as the cycle of abuse, and it is a direct effect of the association that a parent gives a child through neglect and abuse. So far, we have thought about association as something that we take from others. But guess what? Giving association is equally important, and we are constantly doing it. We should always strive to only give good association to others. And to do this, we must have integrity. Integrity is commonly defined as doing the right thing when no one is watching you. If we cultivate this habit of doing the right thing, regardless of time, place, or circumstance, we will automatically only give good association to others. Integrity is commonly cited as having the benefit of living a simple life in which little to no energy is spent questioning ourselves. But apart from this benefit, if we cultivate integrity, we will only give good association to others, and this is the greatest service that we can do to the people around us. So, how does this apply to you? Please don't start to reconsider your entire friend group immediately and overthink this whole association thing. But one thing that you can start to do from this moment is only give good association to others. Speak, act, and think things that help others. Thank you.